Good morning, guys. This is the hotbed. So what you see is you see figs, you see sweet potatoes that are not stressed, you see pepper plants, and the reason you see that is because the hotbed is warm. It gives off just enough heat to keep everything in here from freezing because our nights are in the 30s. Very well settled in the 30s. We've already had frosts, solidly freezing nights at 32. The tomatoes, the zucchini, the green beans are all gone this time of year. And yet you see the inside the greenhouse, the unheated greenhouse, the hotbed kept all of our subtropical type plants happy. These are not special sweet potatoes that were meant to be grown in Idaho in a zone 4. These are normal Georgia sweet potatoes. So actually today I came out here to harvest everything because I was pretty sure that it was starting to wilt and get dead. And I see that I can't do that because it's just not ready to go. So probably what I'm going to do instead is I'll just let you watch me harvest some more peppers. If this was an in-ground garden, it would already be dead, despite the greenhouse. Because when we come out here and it's really frosty in the morning, there is frost on the walls of the greenhouse, and the windows were open last night. It's the kids who do the work of closing things up, and this is not an airtight greenhouse. Window open, cracks in the back. So if you live in a really cold area, or if you'd like to garden year-round, I believe that a hotbed is a really great way to go because you don't have to purchase anything. You can use lumber, you can use old pallets. I've used old tarps, I've used old tin from barns, I've used scrap lumber. I've made them every way that I can think to make them. The one thing that did fail was when I used chicken wire on the inside, and that was because it allowed the bed to dry out too quickly. So what I kind of want to do, I don't know when our first really like below 30 frost is, and I guess I could leave all this stuff in and just experiment and see at what temperature do things actually die back. I have quite a few peppers in here. What I kind of want to do, I don't know how much longer they're going to keep growing. I kind of want to just pull the plant up and make it easy to harvest everything else I'm doing, but that feels like kind of a bummer. Currently what I'm doing in the house is I'm dehydrating things. The house is chilly if we don't have the dehydrator going, so I'm just running tomatoes through the dehydrator. It's I need to look up what the name of the dehydrator so I can tell you guys. It's my favorite. It was really expensive compared to the cheapo little ones on Amazon, but they last for years and they're much better than even the next step down in the same line. So I've got a lot of peppers running through the dehydrator, a lot of beets that I'm using for a grain substitute for the goats. I have tomatoes going through, and I have old fruit that is going through the dehydrator right now. And what that does is it actually heats my house without me having to turn the heat on. It's a very comfortable temperature as long as I'm always running a batch through the dehydrator, and it means I don't know, it doesn't overheat the house, it doesn't underheat the house, it's just perfect, and it makes it really easy this time of year to keep electricity bills down. Sweet potato vines are edible, very edible. Pepper plants, tomato plants, potato plants are not edible. Don't feed them to your animals. But sweet potatoes are not a nightshade. They're a completely different type of plant from a very different family than your tomatoes and your potatoes. So I'm going to be really careful that I'm not accidentally taking pepper plants, and I'm going to go feed these to the rabbits. They're also edible for people. In Asia, they are a delicacy, and they will eat the vines instead of the potatoes, instead of the tubers. So I'm going to put this in another basket to feed And these guys are really aggressive. Okay, and here's an interesting thing. I've got one that came out of the hotbed, and it's wilted and frosted. This one was on the side of the hotbed instead of inside the hotbed, where the heat is rising constantly. So that tells me something. That tells me that the hotbed is just working overtime to keep all these plants happy, because the only ones that are freezing that I'm seeing so far are the ones on the side of the bed that are not above the hotbed, because heat rises, it doesn't move out to the side necessarily unless you've got a lot of it. It's above. Alright, so this particular bed is the biggest one that I've made to date. It is 4 by, I think, 16. The size really matters. If the bed isn't wide enough and long enough, then the composting materials don't ever heat up. It doesn't hold enough moisture, and it doesn't have enough bacteria. It doesn't have enough food to eat in all that carbon. Can you start giving the rabbits, hold on. What? I need you to start giving the rabbits this food. Have you already fed them this morning?
No, I was just inside going to the bathroom really badly.
Okay. So I've got more.
Okay, I'll need more.
Go ahead and put those in the mama cage, and I'll try and get a video of it.
Ouch. I know, I'm so scary.
Maybe not all of it, probably about half of it. Give half to the others. And that way you're not burying them in greens. Thank you. And then there's going to be more.
Okay. Good.
But does everybody have pellets?
I just barely got back out here, so.
Okay. If you need to go get a hat and another coat on, please do.
I had to take one off. I was
Okay.
sweating too much.
All right. So the other rabbits are through there, and then the other rabbits are right there on top of another hotbed. All right, so we planted this in March, and it was steaming at the time. I have some videos of that steaming in my winter, early spring gardening video. But again, minimum of 4 by 8. If you do put 4 by 4, you do get some heat off of it. But it's like scaling up gives you a better bang for your buck most times. This is no exception. This is actually over and above that exception. It isn't just a little bit of benefit you gain by making it bigger. It's a massive amount that you gain by making it bigger, because you're creating that much more heat, and everybody benefits from that heat. So the bed has sunk about 18 inches. When I started, the bed was just underneath this board. These are the boards that we use to hold the rabbit cages when we're recharging the bed. But then also it holds up the fabric that we use to cover the bed to keep it from freezing when we're at 18 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. So I thought today what I was going to be doing was coming out and, you know, cutting plants down, because I figured we were at the end of our rope, but it looks like we're still going strong. So probably what I need to do is start my outside beds for winter gardening and let this one go a little further, just as an experiment to see how far can we go into winter weather. These have not been covered by cloths. The only thing that's happened is we closed the door. That's all we've done. The one plant that seems to have met its match is the ground cherries, which are a relative of tomatillos. They are a tomatillo, but they're sweet tomatillo. That plant has wilted down and it's not happy anymore. Okay. I don't know why it did that. There could be a lot of reasons why it did. It might be that everything else was choking it. It might be that because I harvested the branches off so aggressively, I weakened the plant itself. That's my bet, because I'd only left one branch for the ground cherry to grow. It wants to be a bush. I didn't let it be a bush, I let it be one stalk, and I wonder if that is why the plant itself died. But we've got lots of fruit on the bed of the hotbed where it is. See that? Ground cherries. Well named. This right here is a Chinese celery. It's a cutting celery. It's not like the crunchy, put a bunch of peanut butter on it celery. It's like a soup celery. You could definitely put peanut butter on it if you wanted to, but what I do is I dehydrate these over the course of the summer, just laying them out to let them dry. And then once they're dried, I put them in a silicone bag, reusable bag, in the freezer, and then I use it for soup all year. These are basil. It looks like it might have got nipped a little bit by frost, but it still smells amazing. I've got lemon balm. I've got a massive, massive fig that just, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. And then back in here I have some spots where carrots got left in. And I could feed the tops of these. I don't like the size of the carrots. They're really stunted. So I'll probably just feed that to rabbits. Our bigger carrots were up in the row garden this year. We have my little brother Jared in our kitchen making cheese today so that I can be out in the garden. We've got butchering, we've got harvesting, we got potatoes to dig up, and so it's lovely that my brother's here making cheese. All right, what else do I have? Oh, here's another thing that people have asked about. Is it really heat free? Is it really electricity free out here? It is. We have wires because we set it up when we first bought it. This is a tough greenhouse, and we set up electricity when we first bought it. But as you can see, that is not plugged in. That's not plugged in. That's not plugged in. And this is how everything opens. That fan down there is run by this thermostat here. And then these that are disconnected run this window here. But that's not how we've ever done it. We did it the first year, but it turned out just to be a waste of power because all I had to do was cut a hole here. This isn't meant to be a door, but I cut a hole here that has a door on the outside that we just open up to let air in. And then we open that door and the air just flows through and we don't have to worry about it. So this is a mountain of lemon balm. The rabbits will eat it, but it's also great for tea. This is a, what are you? Fennel. This is fennel. And then I have my Chinese cabbage that's going, or not Chinese cabbage, my Chinese celery that's going to seed. And then I've got another mountain of sweet potato vines. They're taking over the world. And again, anytime, if I want to be able to put a frost cloth over this, I can't have stuff draping over the side because the frost will travel up the, according to my reading, with sweet potatoes, the frost will travel from the tips of the vine, up the vine, into the sweet potato, and then it will kill the sweet potato. And then it just rots. All right. Okay, can you guys see this on the ground? This is stinging nettle. And I plant it here because I want to have it. I want to have its mineral content. I want a spot that I always know stinging nettle will come back. We don't water it. We just have a back to Eden deep mulch system in our walkways from ducks pooping and lots of droppings from the hotbed. They get, if they're useless like tomato vines, I just put them on the ground and they compost in place. I also cut the stinging nettle and let it compost in place. But you just have to be really careful who you let harvest it, because if they're not careful they'll poke holes. I've got one hole here that I can show you that I need to repair before we get much later in the year. But that's stinging nettle. And then here, if my brother doesn't want the stinging nettle for tea, I'm going to just cut it back and let it rot in place. Oh, this is so much fun, trying to manage you being able to see things with the sun in your eyeballs. All right, what can you see? All right, there we go. Okay, so this is a fig. It's been here since like March or April. And I kind of think I need to cut it back. Just because it's going to be a nuisance. If I cut it back, I could send it, like I could take cuttings of it and make more of them. But I feel like this is what I do when I don't know what to do. I cut some of it back. This came up like massively this year. Oh my gosh. One teeny tiny little stick. There we go. Okay, so now it's allowed to have this part right here. I don't know what else to do for that. All right, and then I want to find one spot, just one spot where I can pull up a sweet potato. And then I got more peppers here with lots of little peppers on them. Yeah, I feel like if I come out and I'm really careful with covering these guys up, they might be good. I don't know, maybe they'll be good till December. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna try it here, and I'm just gonna pull up, see if I can find one base of a sweet potato, because I know I planted some in here, in this end. Oh, but I got really big peppers. Maybe I don't want to. Okay. All right, I want to show you guys this root. See that? That's a root. That's pretty cool, huh? All right, we might have to feed some of these to the pigs. There's so many. I don't think the rabbits can keep up. Okay. I've got to go and see if I can find the base of one of them. It's going to take me a minute maybe to dig through it. All right, I finally found one. Ta-da. And I know there's more in here. I feel a little bit like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm finding them. So, there appear to be little red roots. When they anchor down, there's another one. I feel like maybe I have been pulling plants away. Okay, so by the way, who taught me how to do this, how to grow sweet potatoes, is Danny and Wanda over at Deep South Homestead. I took their ebook that they have online and I bought it and I studied it and then I did it. So, in southeast Idaho, I managed to grow sweet potatoes. Okay, so it looks like the roots, when they're successful, are red. When they're starting to turn into potatoes, they're red. What, honey?
Where's Jared?
You guys aren't going to worry about Jared right now. He's doing his own work.
By eating.
Honey, it's up to him. Okay, girls, come here. Do you have all your butchering stuff set up?
What?
Do you have all your butchering stuff set up?
Yeah.
Do you have knives out on the platform?
I thought we're plucking. Ow, ow, ow,
You
ow,
do,
ow.
but how else are you going to take off things like, you know, heads? Do you have your cutters?
Yes.
Okay, so grab your 2 birds that you're going to butcher that are the drakes and take them in the backyard. Okay, so what I've learned very quickly is I really need to keep track of where I'm pulling from, because that's where the potatoes are, funnily enough. Hi, honey. Did you want some cutters?
I got some.
Okay.
With no help of Paige.
Yeah? Yeah, honey. Okay, go in the backyard. Okay, so I found 2 plants worth of sweet potatoes. They look like this when they're just starting. If the root isn't red, it's not going to be a potato. And then I've got these guys, and then I've got this guy, and then I've got all the ones over there. So that's 2 worth. And honestly, Danny and Wanda, their potatoes are this big. And they're in the south. I've seen bigger potatoes from somebody who grew them in Vermont. I think it's the 1825 old-fashioned homestead or something. That their channel, I saw much bigger ones than this. They had like big ones. And so I'm gonna cure these and see if we enjoy the flavor, and I'm gonna let the rest of them continue to grow, and then when I have to cut things down, that's when I'll cut things down. And I'll be much more careful this time to like follow the vine. Anywhere that it's anchored down, I'm gonna search for sweet potatoes there, because I feel like there were a lot there that maybe I pulled too hard, because I know I put a whole bunch in because I didn't think they'd live. I kind of overdid it on how many I put in. And so these were some of the younger ones that I put in. All the older ones are in this space. And so I think if I cut things back in height, or like fold them over so I can get the sheet on, I'll cover these at night, although it doesn't seem to have bothered them at all. Nothing looks hurt by the frost so far. I might put up another piece of plastic over that door, and then I might just sit and wait, because the vines are not yellow, the leaves are not yellow, the basil isn't struggling, and so I don't think there's really any wrong way to keep playing with this, except I'm going to put these in plastic bags, and I'm going to put them a little closer to my wood stove, or maybe a little closer to the dehydrator in my kitchen, so that they'll be at 90, because you have to let them cure in heat and humidity in order for them to turn sweet. So hopefully that was helpful. This is my process. It's fun to come out and harvest things out here. I've been spending so much time processing in the kitchen though that I really haven't been out in the garden at all. This really is a method of gardening that allows children to take care of everything, because as long as they water it, there's fertilizer from the rabbit manure in there, there's heat in there from the rabbit manure, and yeah, it's really nice and warm in here right now. It's probably like 75, maybe getting close to 80 in here. I'm starting to sweat, and it's still cold outside, so once the sun comes up, it does hold a lot of heat in here, but it's the hot bed at night that keeps it from freezing. So I'll try to put some links up to some of the other videos I've made about the hotbed, and hopefully you think this is fun. I don't know anybody else who has grown sweet potatoes in our area. Again, zone 4, we get down to like -30. When I was a kid, we had -45 Fahrenheit a couple times. And then on average, we get down to like -18 degrees Fahrenheit for a good part of the winter. The last couple winters it hasn't been that cold, but I'm sure it will be that cold again. And there we go. I have a lot still to harvest, but I'm in no hurry because they're still ripening. They're not stressed out by the cold. So days have been in the 50s, nights have been in the 30s for the last 3 days. Before that it was nights in the 30s, days in the 70s. So we're getting quite a range here. And hopefully that was fun. And I do have some ebooks about the hotbeds on my Etsy store if you're interested. And we'll talk to you later.